is done speaking, I need to answer.
No problem. We'll let that go. Go in that. Go ahead.
Okay, so like I was saying, yes, what you said is correct, but you cannot turn around and say there are no Islamophobes in the Yoruba tribe or in the Southwest. That is completely incorrect. In fact, like I mentioned, as part of these new movements, they are completely against, most of them are completely against religion. So it's very easy to prove that there are Islamophobes. There are people that don't like Christianity as well. We have seen countless times how people that try to defend Christianity within them, people descend on them. So, but Islam, exactly, what Islamophobia has a special place in their hearts. Because you see, the whole movement, hold on. The whole movement is, the whole ideology of the movement is that the Fulanis are going to carry out a jihad. Please, make it make sense that this is not Islamophobia. So I want to leave that done, right? Yeah, I'm done. Crypto conspiracy, you will talk. Let me just respond to him. I'm not here for any other.
So I'm going to let you do that, Doctor.
Let me just respond to him. Read one. I don't know, you probably weren't listening enough when I was talking. I said, I made a disclaimer. I said, I'm not trying to show that the Southwest is any better than any other region. It was clearly stated in my response. You just chose to hear and respond the way you want to, which is fine. Like I said, I don't think there's any ethnic group in Nigeria that is as heterogeneous as the Southwest in terms of religious diversity. I just made my own story as an example. My dad, till tomorrow, craved I practice Islam. My Muslim name is Fuad. My mom, on the other hand, wants me to practice Christianity. And that's just their own inner prayer. Because they both believe what they are doing is right. And like I was said, and I will still say, the Yorubas believe a lot in their tradition. And I said that some people can go to the mosque, some can go to the church, and you still see that some of them, despite being whatever clerics they are in church, foreign religions, they still come back to do their traditional rites with whatever they do. And if you check that level of tolerance to foreign religion, compare it to what you have in the north towards Christianity, to the east towards Islam, you will realize that there's a level of tolerance, a high level of tolerance in the Southwest. So, talking about hatred towards Islam, we will be hating ourselves. Tinubu is a Muslim, his wife is a pastor. Fashola is a Muslim, his wife is equally a pastor. Please, you will talk. Muhammad, you will talk. Cryptocurrency, you want to talk? Muhammad, you will talk. I know you are a moderator. Just allow me. The response you can give me is allow me. So now, we have a lot of diversities in our community, and that's why even our voting, the politics is not so clear. I've been here for a while in the north. I know that a household can just go and vote for APC, and all of them will just vote. A house of say 50 or 60. In the south, it's a nuclear family of say about 5 or 6. Father will vote for APC, mother will vote for PDP, the children will vote for ANPP, this one will vote for this, Afghan. Oh, the diversity is so much. My dad can't control me to do whatever he wants me to do. He has to rationalize. Why do you want me to do this? Give me reasons. And we ask questions a lot, and it seems as if we are vocal. So that's it. I just want to clear the air. Now, there's Fulanization agenda, there is Islamophobic agenda. All this I'm saying are rates, proportion. I never said there won't be a single soul that don't like Islam. I never said there won't be a single soul that doesn't like, that will not like Islam. Fulani. Of course, I'm only trying to make you see the proportion on a larger, the division on a larger proportion. So when you say the South, you need to be clear. That's why I was asking for a definition of the South, which you have refused to read it. Rather, you told. I'm not going to read one here. Read one. Read from one. About the definition of the South. That's when Fulani Princess and other people started talking for you. I still don't get what you mean by the South. I don't get this. The total we are on the same page.
Doctor, sorry. Let me cryptocurrency wants to talk. Let me finish. Everybody have made a very good assertion of the Southwest. Mr. I'm from the Southwest. But one thing I would like to add is that I think the tolerance index in the Southwest is going down. And the reason why it's going down is that the religions or the people that uphold this tolerance, they are declining. People that uphold tolerance, religious tolerance in the Southwest are majorly the Orthodox Christians and the liberal Muslims and some traditionalists. Those are the people that really uphold the religious tolerance in the Southwest, and these are the people that they interrelate with themselves. But if you now look at these groups that uphold this tolerance, they are declining. The Orthodox are moving from the Christians. They are moving from Orthodox Christians now to the Pentecostals. And the Pentecostals, they are kind of, they exhibit some level of intolerance. The same thing
Very
as
correct.
Islam. You understand? The same thing as the Muslims too as well. The Muslims too, just because of the level of movement from the Orthodox to Pentecostals. And the Pentecostals, they are very, 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 very aggressive. They've depleted from their mode of canvassing souls, being good, all those things. They are into more of marketing. And the aggressiveness is imparting on both the traditionals and the Muslims. So before the Muslims who say they're promising, they realize this. And the extremists, I won't call them the extremists, but the little bit more fanaticals, the Islam fanatics, they spring up. And they are campaigning aggressively against this attack. So the way it is now in the Yoruba land, currently now they are saying the Southwest look more tolerance because of all these groups, but the groups that are upholding these values, they are declining by the day. So in the nearest future, I don't know what will happen because the new two groups that are springing up from the Southwest, the Pentecostalism and the the Muslim fanaticism is getting way and way higher. So we need a balance among all these. So if there is no balance, even the Southwest, what is happening currently? I'm telling you the situation currently now.
I kind of agree with you. I have to remember that you are I want to show some supremacy. Thanks for your comment.
Wọ́n á tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjà láàrin ara wọn ní ìsìn.
Just say that intolerance tends to go in spirals, right? So there's always a group of people.
Now, ìdí tí mo fi ń gbé kinní yìí wà ní wípé àwọn kan máa ń bú wa wípé mo kí gbogbo yín ẹ káàárọ̀, mo kí yín káàbọ̀ sórí ètò ìṣẹ̀ṣe làgbà. Ìdí tí mo máa ń fi gbé àwọn audio kinní yìí wá live ni wọ́n ṣe wọ́n wà nínú room yẹn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ lórí clubhouse. Ìdí tí mo fi máa ń gbé wá ní wípé àwọn Yorùbá kan máa ń bú wa, àwọn ọmọ kóòtù òjìrè kan máa ń bú wa wípé àwa là ń pariwo lórí social media, àwọn Fúlàní ò kì í bá èèyàn pariwo. Tí ẹ bá ní sùúrù ẹ gbọ́ mind Fúlàní lórí kinní. Wọ́n ti sọ a lot of dirty things, but ẹnu mi kọ́ lẹ máa ti gbọ́. Kó tó di wípé mo decide pé kí n bọ́ sí life. Wọ́n ní ẹnu oníkan láti ń gbọ́ pọ̀n, ẹ máa gbọ́ lọ. This is where the Fulani people speak their mind.
That wore a hijab to a Lagos State public government school, and the principal disallowed the child from entering the school. He went to the case and got to the appeal court, where the appeal court now made the judgment that the Muslim children can wear the hijab to the school. So that is Islamophobia. Second, in ISI, International School, you can please hold on, doctor, hold on.
Oh my father,
Hold on. Please, I don't want to be anymore.
So this is where it becomes very funny. When you say in Lagos State public school,
government-owned public school has its own rules different from the Ministry of Education. It reinforces that
ministry. Lagos State has its own Ministry of Education. So which of the ministries are you talking about?
All ministries.
Under 12 cannot enter secondary school.
Doctor, hold on. Somebody should move this guy, please. Move this ignorant person.
Inú yàrá àwọn Fúlàní lọ́wọ́ àwọn. Mo sọ fún yín kó máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjà báyìí.
I'm not abusing you, I'm describing you.
Àwọn ọmọ wa
I'm describing you for God's sake. Calm down. Sorry.
You're only describing yourself, Magnum.
Sorry.
Magnon ni ẹ ọmọ Fúlàní ni òun ló ní kó lọ pa gbogbo wa.
Sorry for yourself, my brother.
Okay, please allow them to talk now.
Okay, hold on. Magnon, before you continue, if one more person interrupts him, I'm actually going to gulag you guys respectfully. Like, we've been having a good conversation, please. I do not want a disrespectful discourse. I don't want wahala or movement in this room. Please. Let him finish, and then Doctor, I will allow you to respond uninterrupted. Go ahead, Magnon.
Doctor, sorry for calling you ignorant.
Ṣẹ́rí ọmọbìnrin tó sọ̀rọ̀ tán yìí ó ní tẹ́ bá gbóhùn Yorùbá ó máa dá yín lóhùn Yorùbá tẹ́ bá gbóhùn ní Ìgbò wọn á dá yín lóhùn ní èdè Ìgbò àwa ò kẹ̀gbédè wọn.
So there was a case. Hold on, doctor, calm down. There was a case in Lagos State where the principal did not allow the girl to go to school, and Murik, Muslim Rights Concern, and some other Islamic organizations took the case to the courts, and they won up to the appeal court, and they won, and then the appeal court gave a judgment that those girls can wear their hijab to school. So, and that is a public school, government-owned school. That is Islamophobia. How would a principal be giving rules in a public government school? That same principal can be moved from that school to another school. That same principal can be moved from that school to the Ministry of Education itself as an official of that ministry. So why do you think a principal is the one to determine the rules in a government-owned school? It is clear Islamophobia from the principal's end. Now, International School Ibadan, which is a private school owned by a government institution. International School Ibadan is a private school owned by the University of Ibadan. UI, owned by the University of Ibadan. The same thing that they did until when they went to court and they told them that appeal court judgment is going to be applied across board. The same thing in Kwara State. Kwara State, well, you can argue it is not central or southwest, but you have majority of Yorubas. In Ilorin that is predominantly Muslim, you saw the principal and the teachers asking that girl or those girls not to come to school. In fact, they shut down that school and went to protest at the government house. When the government released a statement saying that you cannot tell us how to run our schools, those people still kept on fighting and saying they wouldn't allow hijab in a government-owned school. In University of Ife, there was a time when women...
I beg no verse. Yeah, you have come with plenty case laws. I think Doctor has definitely had a lot of case laws from you. You have mentioned like 6 now. Please let me just say what he has to say.
No, sorry. Let him land. Please let me quickly land.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. In University of Ife, a certain girl was wearing niqab, and she was chased out, medical student, and she was chased out of the room by a professor because he felt she shouldn't be covering her eyes. That is covering her face. That is Islamophobia. There was a certain case where a woman went to the immigration office in Lagos here, Alamusa, where she wanted to do her passport. They asked her to remove her ears, and she insisted that she wasn't going to remove her ear, expose her ears, because her ears also formed a part of her aura. And they chased her out until immigration came out with guidelines saying women can cover their hair and their ears so long as their face shows when they want to take their passport photographs for their national passport cases. These are established, celebrated, publicized cases in Southwest, in Lagos, where you say there's a lot of tolerance. Islamophobia. And let me be the devil's advocate here. Two big reasons why there is Islamophobia. First is because of the terrorism being perpetrated by extremists who have no knowledge of, who have no correct akida, who have no correct belief. They do not understand the belief. And the second is that the knowledge gap. A lot of people do not even take their time to even study Islam a bit, understand Islam a bit, before coming out to speak against it. Lastly, to use the mind, when Sanusi brought in Islamic banking and said they were going to bring Islamic banking, people did not know that what Islamic banking just meant was non-interest banking, ethical banking. People came and said, oh, Islamization, Islamization. Go to Jai's bank now. Their biggest customers are the Igbo traders. With this, I use them.
Yes, McNoon has made some absolutely great points. He has shown without reasonable doubt that there is, Islamophobia. He presented many case laws. In fact, I wanted to stop him, but he had many case laws. And in fact, I believe he even has more if you let him go. So, Doctor, what do you have to say to this? Because now he has presented millions of case laws. What's your response to that, Doctor?
Mark none, right? I checked the meaning of Islamophobia. It means the fear or hatred of Islam or Muslims. Now, trying to put moderation in things, I don't think that has amounted to what you call Islamophobia. Lagos is a place where number one, Lagos is the most populous state in Nigeria, and it's also a place where there is almost equal representation of the major two religions in Nigeria. So being sensitive towards fear of being dominated should not be termed as Islamophobia or Christianophobia, as the case may be. We've had cases where, due to Christians going to church every Sunday, NASFAT came on board because the supposed Islamic children were moved with the clappings and call of church, and they wanted to start going to church. Like I said, I am not here to defend any religion or any region in Nigeria, because I stand for everything. I'm a true Nigerian. My father is a Muslim, my mother is a Christian, and while I was young, I went to Islamia, and even in school, I mix with my Muslim friends even the more. I can recite the number of surahs in the Quran and all sorts. The same way I have knowledge of Bible, and I'm doing research in the traditional life. I'm from Lagos, Nigeria, from Ekpe to be precise. However, I live in Jigawa now. So what do I stand to gain if I start throwing shades at a religion or an ethnic group? Wait, Mohammed. Let me land. See, you would not say Muslims were Christianophobia when they brought up NASFAT. One of the points Magnum raised that made sense is they have very learned Muslims in the southwest, which is true, and they know how to handle their things in a learned manner. Very correct. At least NASFAT came on board and they were able to get their people back to Islamic distance, which is good. You won't say because they did that they are Christianophobic. No, they're just being sensitive so that the Muslims will not be carried away. The young ones who have a lot of energies will not be carried away by the paparazzi of the church and get them swayed away from their true religion, which makes sense. So now, if a school, the point you raise in Ilorin is actually not a public school, it's a private school. You can check it out.
I'll send the link. I'll send the public press statements to you so that you can get your facts right.
It's a private school in Ilorin, not a public school, and they made it clear that in Islamic schools, there are schools called Islamic schools. I can't go to Islamic school as a girl, child, and not wear an hijab. So if you are coming to to a conventional school, why should you bring your hijab when hijab is not one of the, you don't understand? So these are matters that can be argued in court by the law guys who understand law and who can manipulate it. But that should not cause nomenclature of Islamophobic and not Islamophobic. Okay? Just trying to put moderation in things does not mean you are trying. Now, again, some people see some of these things as Islamic extremities. Now, how would you come to school and they say don't put on hijab to this kind of school, and you are insisting that you want to wear hijab to this school? A non-Muslim can see that as some level of extremism, and I don't think you will be wrong. We're in class one day, we're supposed to have a Mohammed, hold on. We were in class one day in medical school. We were to have our exam. One of the very known Islamic guys, very staunch, claimed he can write an exam for I think 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock that we extend to the prayer time simply because he's a Muslim. And they try and caused a lot of opera, wrote petition, did this and that, so that they can. And the man said, I don't want these people's problem. He quickly changed the exam time. And that's a doctor in training for crying out loud. Meaning that if you have, and I've heard some doctors, this one are passionate about it, telling me that if they are on the operation table and it is time for Salat, they will leave the patient. And you always start to think that, what kind of religion is this? If you don't have good people practicing the same religion, you will be tempted to think that that is what Islam is about. So now, moderation is key in everything. We've seen people who use their hijab and niqab to commit crimes a lot. And I'm sure if you go to the immigration, you can't wear a niqab.
It's enough.
You're going too long. Understand your point, doctor.
No.
Understand your point.
Why are you wanting me? I'm not.
ní jẹ́ kó sọ̀rọ̀. Ṣé ẹ ti ń gbọ́?
You don't want me to eat. And you want to just shut me up. Because I see no reason why you would demote me without telling me that maybe I should round up in 1 minute or so. I'm not going to eat this. Very wrong.
Wọ́n máa yọ kúrò ní rúùmù yẹn sí.
Guys, respectfully, hold on.
I should tell him he's the one that created them.
Respectfully, hold on. Please. Can we have an orderly conversation? But who? Fulani, did you remove him?
No.
Did he leave?
I
Anyway,
don't remove him.
either way, yeah, I just want a respectful conversation. Please, no one interrupt him when he's speaking. Let him finish. I was literally going to tell him. You have like 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Aisha.
Hold on. I was going to tell him you have like 1 minute to round up because he has been talking for a while and I know a lot of people.
Yeah, he's gone. But the point I want to make a quick point here. The point is, listen, this guy, I don't know what he's got, but I wish he was here to hear what I have to say. There's so many inconsistencies in what he's saying. On the one point, he's saying that the Southwest is quite tolerant towards Islam. But then on the second hand, he's also, in a very, very indirect way, perpetrating Islamophobia in his own self. He's cursing the religion of Islam, saying he thinks it's the extreme that when it's time to pray, that someone should go and pray. And then he mentions how there's so much, how Muslims are being so staunch in the hijab. How can you attack symbols to do with Islam and then say you're not Islamophobic? It doesn't make sense. But anyway,
his voice.
I think Maknoon is the best person to address a lot of his points. Maknoon, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so let me address his point. First,
Wait, first, before Maknoon go, let me check on something.
Please, Mr. Nice, let me quickly say
Wait, chill. He said something about the NASFAT. Yes, the NASFAT, it was created. Before the NASFAT, they had the Nasser Islam. Because majority of Yorubas in Lagos were Muslims and they were converting to Christians. Because the Yoruba tradition is, their culture is dancing and singing is normal. So their children were enjoying that dancing and singing and interacting with girls in the church and all. So that's what's pushing them to church mainly.
Sorry.
Submission is final. I don't know.
Cryptocurrency. Please wait. QR wanted to talk. QR has been flashing his mic for a while. Please wait. QR.
Yeah, please.
I want to add what you just said now. I just want to add to this. It is not dancing and singing that you think is part of our culture that make people to convert to Christianity. No.
Exactly.
That's not nice to say for certain.
Exactly.
I think he made a mistake there. Let us.
No, that is the fact. I was born up in the Lagos. I know these things.
Guys,
Yes.
guys,
That is it.
hold on. Respectfully, if one person is talking, yeah, can you let that person finish before you jump on that person's neck? Because you don't even know what the guy is saying and you want to already, it's mad disrespectful. Can we have like an intellectual discourse without being disrespectful? Cryptocurrency, you can make a point. If somebody has something to respond, you can respond once you've done. Go ahead. I'm going to let Moon speak and then nice guy. Go ahead.
What made most people in the Southwest to convert to Christianity? One of it is education. They use education to convert most people. And the people that are perpetrating this, they are not the Orthodox Christians. I repeat, they are the Pentecostal Christians. To an extent that if you are a Muslim in the Southwest, you are seeking for admission in the university. Some of the criteria they are going to use is that, are you a Christian? If you are not ready to leave your Muslim Islam to convert to Christians, some people will not even grant you admission. I have a lot of cases in UI specifically. Are you with me? So, in this case, the issue of religious tolerance, no religious tolerance that we are seeing currently in the Southwest is as a result of the Orthodox Christians, liberal Muslims, and culturalists. But the aggressiveness of the Pentecostals is the reason why we are seeing this NASFAT springing up. Is the reason why we are seeing some bodies in go and go. They are trying to defend their own culture as well. Thank you.
Okay, I think QM is waiting. QM.
and I should go ahead to QM.
Now, I don't really have much to say for now, but I think one thing I just want to call our attention to is, you see, this religion we practice, Islam, is between laxity and extremism. And in all aspects of our life, we need to always adopt this concept. So Mohammed, I'm not really totally pleased with how you have handled the gentle guy that left. It is an opportunity for the guy to truly understand what we stand for.
I didn't send him out.
No one.
I know you did not. I know you did not. But what I'm saying is, the job of the moderator is to ensure, if it's 2 minutes, if it's 3 minutes, let's stick to it. If you want to give leverage, let us know. I'm giving you additional 30 seconds. Give you additional 1 minute, so that we can let him drive home his point. Like you emphasize, Magnu gave so many case laws, and these things are on the internet. It's just punch it, you will see it. So these things are clear. Either we like it or not, the people most times on the stage are far less than those down there listening. And a lot of these things, we are only here to put the fact out and mold opinions, and people will pick whatever they need. So let's allow people to talk, because if we don't allow them to come out and say these things, so that we can tell them, oh, this is not how it is, this is what it is, we would change our society when we do that. So that's just what I want to say for now. Probably later I will add to the conversation.
Thank you. I do completely get what you said. Like, we should have let him finish speaking, and then you guys could have responded. Like, I think that's the respectful way of having a discourse, because not everyone has the same knowledge of Islam or knowledge in general. But Dr. Nathan, welcome back. Imagine you go ahead and then we'll go back to Dr.
What I would say is, doctors speak based on the response. So the Magnon make a point, and Mohammed tell him to respond to this point. And I believe a moderator
pray to keep me.
Hold on.
Okay. Second, when we are talking about religion, we are to refer to examples that can make sense in whatever belief you believe in. To quote example of the extremists in your own religious belief, in a situation whereby you are discussing based on trying to understand, like if you want to quote people that are extremists in the Christian faith, you can mention 1 million different people. If you want to mention extremists and people who do practice cringe stuff in the Islamic path, you can quote 1 million examples. Even in the traditional religion, if you want to quote some cringe and extremist activities, you can quote 1 million examples. So I find Mr. Nice example to be very low quality. Like the quality should be, don't call people who practice extreme. You can call on all the sides. In fact, not even the religions that are here. You can bring example of different activities that are done by out of the hand. That's my submission.
Okay, thank you, Majid. Okay, so I'm gonna let you speak, Dr. Luca, but I just want to clarify, moderators, please don't mute someone unless they're being disruptive, unless they're being disrespectful, because it's not fair, even if we may not agree with what is being said. And Doctor, we apologize for keeping you muted, but I'm gonna let you speak. Go ahead, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Fulani Princess. Thank you, everybody. While I was away, I also went to search. Maybe I was the one moving the wrong stuff. I realized it was Macnon. I checked about the Lawrence School again. It was a missionary school. Missionary school. That was where, and citing such an example to buttress Islamophobia, I don't think it's fair. It's a missionary school for a reason. That means it's a Christian school. And you go to a Christian school, I don't think you should have a problem conforming with their rules. You know you're a Muslim and you can't do without your attire or your outfit in a way that it will not necessarily go against their their norms there. You can go to an Islamic school. Why make a case out of what that is, and why use that to buttress Islamophobic claims? I'm not saying there are no Islamophobic people. I'm only saying that let's not make it a big deal out of small issues. If you come to my school, you should be able to conform with my standards. I'm going to an Islamic school and I said I don't want to learn Islam. Then what am I doing in that school? Most of our Muslim Islamic senior colleagues who went to missionary school, they told us how they learned hymns and all those things, and they're even happy about it. If I had the chance of going to an Islamic school, I would gladly do. So I would improve my Arabic, improve my knowledge in Islam and go. So let's not make this thing look like a debate of who is trying to win, a Christian over a Muslim. No, I don't think I practice any of those two religions, and I mean it. Mine is just for peace, and let our utterances show some level of decorum and equilibrium. Let's not be screwed towards trying to portray religion as if it's this and that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Hold on. Iman said, mute your mic. I'm going to continue.
Can you please refresh this room? I'm not sure what this is about.
Yeah, I will refresh the room. So, I'm going to read the definition of Islamophobia because I think people don't know what Islamophobia is. Islamophobia is the fear of, hatred of, or prejudice against the religion Islam of Muslims in general, especially when seen as a geopolitical force or a source of terrorism. So Islamophobia is not always people just saying, "Oh my gosh, Muslim, or fuck Islam," or stuff like that. But it could be having legislative constituents within a government saying that Muslims aren't able to express themselves. For example, in France, women under 18 are not allowed to, or girls under 18 are not allowed to wear the hijab. Women are not allowed to pick up their children from school wearing the hijab. Stuff like this is Islamophobic. Even if you say that we must conform to their laws because it is a Christian country or whatever, those are still considered as Islamophobic. We need to be very smart when we're talking about Islamophobia, especially since Islam has been one of the religions that have been longer residing in Africa, even prior to Christianity coming in. And I'm not saying that it hasn't been a violent one or whatever, but there have been African Muslims who have been Muslim before even many Arabs accepted Islam. So we need to understand the context of how colonialism has shifted our perspective on what Islam is and how Islam is in society. But with that being said, I'm going to make a list. Everyone who wants to talk, please flash your mic. Macnoon, Negostal, and then Mohammed. But then I'm going to refresh the room after Anthony. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, you see, when we say we are good to Google to make research, see, for me, I like to do hours of research. If I get something, I do my research properly. Now, in your research, if you are taking your time, you would have seen the Kwara State government released a public press statement clarifying its conception about the missionary school. So, let me tell you what they said. Let me give you a summary of that statement. The summary is that in 1974, government took over all missionary schools. And let me read in verbatim what they said in their statements. Sorry. They said various state laws back up. Okay, wait, let me start from. Okay, so they said in a statement by the Secretary to the Kwara State government, Professor Mama Sabat, it is stated that, like in most parts of Nigeria in 1974, government took control of many schools whose original ownership are cut across faiths and private individuals across the country. Since the takeover, it is said that the government has controlled, managed, only funded and staffed schools which were run and are still run as public institutions. So all the missionary schools in Kwara State, all the missionary schools in Lagos State, all of them are owned, funded, and staffed by the state governments. So, sir, you need to get your facts right. That school was originally a missionary school and now is under the control, wholly funded by the state government. Of course, in Lagos State, certain missionary schools have been returned back to the missionaries. An example is St. Gregory's. St. Gregory's School in Ikoyi, Obalede, is a missionary school that has been returned to the missionaries. Certain Asari schools have also been returned to the missionaries. So when you come to say, but the one in Kwara State, that one that the controversy started from, is a missionary school that is a public school that is owned fully by the Kwara State government, funded fully by the Kwara State government, managed fully by the Kwara State government, and staffed fully by the Kwara State government. So let us get these things clear. This is Islamophobia when the principal that is under the control of the State Ministry of Education, who has its own rules and does guiding the running of public schools, decides to come up with a rule or law that is antithetical to the principles of the state. Now, second, you mentioned that one of your doctor friends said during operation said that he wanted to go for prayer. Now, I'm not going to fight with you. So in Islam, there is what is called the doctrine of necessity, and it is called the rule. It's called the rule. Now, in that case, when there is a case of you want to save a life, you have to pen your prayer and save that life. So when he's doing the surgery and it's time for prayer, it is allowed for him. In fact, it is incumbent, it is fact, it is compulsory for him to save that life before he goes back to his prayer. And I'm going to give you certain examples from the hadith, from the narration of the Prophet. Okay, no, let me not go there because you don't believe in the hadith. Now, in fact, from the Quran also. Now, in fact, when you are saying your prayers, and there is a life-threatening situation, it is valid, it is compulsory for you to set aside prayer. And the beauty of Islam is that you see all these prayer times, they are a range of time. It is between one period to one period. The shortest is Maghrib, which is about 45 minutes to 1 hour. Between sunset and full darkness. So within that period of time, you can still always come back to say your prayers. But when you are in a business meeting, or you are in class, and you have prayers, it is incumbent for you, it is fact on you, it is compulsory on you to leave that business meeting and go for your salah. When people fix exams during your salah period, and you know that this exam, by the time you finish this exam, it is going to, that salah period will have elapsed. And you have the power to do what? To influence the change of that time of that exam. It is fact. It is compulsory on you. It is compulsory on you to ensure that that time of that examination is changed. Now, lastly, there's a general principle in Islam. There are 3 ways of correcting errors in Islam. It is either you use your hand, or your mouth, or your mind. Let me explain. Your hand is when you have the power, you have the authority, you have the power to change something that is wrong, you must change it. It is part on you, it is compulsory on you to change it. If you do not have the power to change it, but you can speak, you must speak against it, you must write against it, you must do public lectures against it. If you cannot do the first 2, because of fear of oppression or fear of persecution, then in your heart, you must know deep down in your heart that I know that this thing is wrong, but because I'm powerless, I can't do anything, I will change it from my heart. And you know what the Prophet said? The Prophet said that is the weakest of them all. So there are principles in Islam, there are doctrines of necessities in Islam, there are things that when the rule becomes null and void, and then the exception has to come to play. So when you understand these things, that your Muslim doctor that did not understand it, if you can have his number, let me call him, let me explain these things to him, that when you are in a surgery or in the theater, surgical theater, trying to save somebody's life, the most important thing at that point is to save that life and then go back to your prayer. You are going to have double rewards for that. You have saved the life, and also you have done what? You have gone to do your salah. These are you the mind.
Can I respond, or there's no need? Fulani Princess.
Fulani wants to mention.
Very short. Can I respond?
Hold on. Before you respond, I'm going to let Mohammed go, then Doctor, and then I'm going to quickly reset the room before you guys go ahead and respond. So, hold on, Mohammed, give me 1 second, yeah? Before Mohammed goes, this room was basically made in response to another room with regarding to Sunnis, politics, and history. This notion was spread that Fulanis were responsible for the conflicts that were occurring within the country of Sudan. That is not the case. A Sudanese man was in the room itself. He clarified that the situations going on had nothing to do with the Fulanis. It was actually the Arabization that was making the problem within Sudan. And in actuality, the Fulanis are being marginalized within Sudan. If you look into it on like the internet, there's several articles speaking about this. It's the same problem within Mauritania. Due to Arabization, Fulanis are very proud people. They're not going to stand down when it comes to wiping away their culture, their history, their language. So they did end up getting killed